And we are. This is Mother's Day, May the 12th, 2019. This is also the day, 21 years ago, that my daddy passed away. My wife is in the hospital that my daddy was in 21 years ago. And that's where I'm going, just as soon as we get through having church here today. But there was a woman years ago, and she had what could be a problem. Her husband had another wife, and they lived together. And the woman didn't have a baby, and the other wife had some. This was a long time ago. I got it right here in the history book. This is my history book. The woman's name that didn't have any babies was Hannah. Hannah wanted a baby bad. Her husband's other wife had children. And there was a man that was living back there, and they were in Shiloh. And he had two sons who were sorry as ripped. And you know what they were doing? They were doing things with the temple prostitutes, and you can imagine what temple prostitutes were doing. And this man was not stopping his sons from messing with them prostitutes. But anyway, Hannah was really loved by her husband. And she wanted a baby. And it happened this year that they went up and Hannah was just pouring her heart out to God. Her lips were moving, but she wasn't saying nothing. And her husband knew that she was kind of distraught. Now, I'm not sure what distraught means, but I use that word anyway. That's not happy, I hope. But anyway, her husband said to Hannah, now why are you weeping? And why are you not eating? Why is your heart sad? Her husband was trying to help her feel better. He was not trying to make her feel bad. And he said, am I not better to you than 10 sons? Now, he was putting some words out of his mouth, wasn't he? That's what he was telling his wife. I'm better to you than 10 sons. Now, don't you think? How would she know? She didn't even have one. But anyway, that's what happened. And anyway, Hannah rose after eating and drinking in Shiloh, and she went to see Eli the priest that had those two no-gooders. And he was sitting by the temple of the Lord. This was the real Lord. This was the Lord. The temple of the Lord. The one that could do anything. That's what the Lord can do. We can't do just anything, but the Lord can. Now, she made a vow. A vow means she said something, doesn't it? And she meant it. She made a vow, said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thy maidservant, and remember me, and not forget thy maidservant, but will give thy maidservant a son, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and a razor shall never come on his head. And it came about, as she continued praying before the Lord, Eli was watching her mouth. Hannah, like I said, her lips were moving, but she wasn't speaking. And Eli, the smart man that he is, says to her, how long will you make yourself drunk? Put away your wine from you. Can I tell you, that's not the thing you say to a woman that's not drunk. That's that, that don't work. Hannah answered and said, No, my lord, I am a woman oppressed in spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have poured out my soul before the Lord. Do not consider your maidservant as a worthless woman. She's getting after me. Is she straightening him out or what? For I have spoken until now out of my great concern and provocation. And Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked of him. She got to him, didn't he? Hey, she got to him with her words, didn't she? And he's what he said. And she said, Let your maidservant find favor in your sight. So the woman went her way and ate, and her face was no longer, she wasn't crying no more. And they arose early the next morning, worshipped before the Lord, and returned again to their house in Ramah. And Elkanah got into bed with her husband. Elkanah was her husband. And Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her, and she became pregnant and had a baby. She didn't go back to see Eli for a while because she wanted the baby to be big enough to leave with God. So when the baby was old enough, she took the baby and went. And she ran into Eli and she said, Oh, my Lord, as your soul lives, my Lord, I am the woman who stood here beside you praying to the Lord. For this boy I prayed, and the Lord has given me my petition, which I asked of him. I have dedicated him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is dedicated to the Lord. And he worshiped the Lord there. Then Hannah prayed and said, My heart is happy. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth speaks boldly against my enemies, because I rejoiced at thy salvation. There is no one holy like the Lord. Indeed, there is no one besides thee, nor there any rock like our God. Boast no more so very proudly. Do not let arrogance come out of your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and with him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty are shattered, but the feeble gird on strength. Those who were full hire themselves out for bread, but those who were hungry cease to hunger. Even the barren gives birth to 7. But she who has many children languishes. The Lord kills and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. The Lord makes poor and rich. He brings low. He also exalts. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap to make them sit with nobles and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he set the world on them. He keeps his feet. He keeps the feet of his godly ones, but the wicked ones are silenced in darkness. For not by might shall a man prevail. Those who contend with the Lord will be shattered. I don't think people have paid a whole lot of attention to what has been said by the woman that had the baby. But if you want to know about the baby, his name was Samuel. And he did get to grow up with the Lord. And when God spoke to him, he went to Eli about 3 times. And then Eli caught on. And Eli told him what to say when you hear this the next time. You just say, Speak, Lord. thy servant is listening. So I'll leave you with that one today. Thank you for doing the recording, and you can cut it off now. Thank you.